We are in beautiful and sunny Beverly Hills, California, and today I'm going to go over this ACURA NSX with you all. So, you know, I'm not a gearhead or anything like that. I couldn't really tell you much about the engine too much and all of that kind of stuff, but you know, I'm gonna share with you what I like, what I don't like about this beautiful car with us today. This is a twin turbo 3.5 liter V6. So practical, I know. Historically, you know, supercars like this generally have very large engines with a lot of cylinders, and you know, now with technology, you have smaller engines in supercars like this, and they're very efficient. This particular model has 573 horsepower with 476 pounds of torque. Now the newer ones have about 600 horsepower in them. But you know, for those of you who know how to tune cars and stuff, I'm sure you could do something pretty easily if you wanted to bump it up to 600. And this has a whopping 9-speed automatic transmission. I mean, wow. So I actually rented this car on Turo this morning. It's been a really great car. It's absolutely stunning, okay? So I'm gonna start with the front. You can see how it's like extremely sleek and aerodynamic. So one of the first things that I actually noticed about the car was all of the meshwork on the car, right? So the meshwork, the carbon fiber, it has a purpose, right? So it's releasing heat. But here it's positioned so well that it all just kind of blends with the exterior of the car, which is what I really like. I also really enjoy these vents. I think that on this car in particular, it just looks really sharp. Listen, this car is heavy in the street. You know, it could really be next to like anything and it's gonna look amazing. The carbon fiber kind of extends like throughout the car, right? So it was on the front, on the hood, and also even by the doors. And then actually the carbon fiber and the meshwork extends to the rear of the car. One thing about this car is that when I saw it on the street initially, I really didn't know what it was until I actually focused on the logo. So, you know, if you actually debadge this car, which I would probably do if I bought one. So if you debadged it, you really wouldn't even know what it was. So these tail lights here are really sharp, right? And they kind of continue all around. And it really gives me like Aston Martin vibes, right? Like when I look at this, I kind of think like, you know, Aston Martin, like Vantage. You can come and see the engine here. I thought this was really cool. The engine kind of like goes in and, you know, it's also kind of has the meshwork and carbon fiber there. I thought that was like a really kind of great and neat thing. So this car actually has some pretty decent trunk space. We have, you know, two kind of suitcases in the back here, but for a supercar, that's actually quite rare. This is a royal blue color. You know, when I rented it this morning, I was like, oh, you know, it's nice, but it definitely kind of grew on me, right? So me in particular, like, I think this car looks like the Batmobile, right? Like, I think it's just so sleek, so beautiful. So if I personally were to get it, I would probably get it in black. It does also come in an orange color. So, you know, I think when you're getting supercars, like sometimes, you know, you just want to get like a nice fun color. And, you know, honestly, this royal blue, it looks amazing during the day and in the sunlight. So it says it starts at 170,000. The thing is though, I think with all of the shortages and chips and, you know, pandemic issues, I don't think you could get a new one for 170. I think it'd probably be like well over 200. But I was looking earlier for used ones and the cheapest one that I found was about 135,000. So, I mean, they're pricey, but listen, it's a supercar and, you know, I think it's definitely worth it. So these are the headlights. I mean, it is a little bit bright outside right now, so you can't really see, but they're really sharp. There's 4 LEDs in the headlight, and the fog light, if you can kind of zoom in here, is just directly under. So now it's very common in cars to have the headlight and the fog light all together in one. Me personally, I don't really like that. I like for there to be more light, so I wouldn't mind if there were fog lights, but in this car, that's what they have. The rims on this car, they're pretty simple. You know, for a supercar like this, regarding the style, kind of like a flower style. And in the front of the car, there are 19-inch rims, and the rear is 20s. Easy way to tell the size of the rim, because you're probably like, oh, this car, they have two different size rims, right? Which is a little bit unusual. So a really easy way to tell what size the rim is you look for the R, so the 245/35, that's the size of the tire, right? And then you look after the R, so it says R19, so that's why there's 19s in the front. And then let's head to the rear. So for the rear, you know, this 305, 30, and then you look for the R and then 20. So 19s in the front, 20s in the back. You know, that's why the car is kind of sitting up at an angle like this. So, you know, really, this car is like a Japanese Batmobile, right? I think it's honestly like a Japanese monster. It's very, very sleek, very nice. You know, aesthetically, I think this car is really, really good and honestly very hard to beat. I did mention that this is a 3.5 liter V6, but this is a hybrid. In comparison to like a BMW i8 or something like that, this one is far superior. The drive is a lot more aggressive, and you know, it does feel like you're driving a sports car, not like a Toyota Prius. No offense against any of you who have Priuses, but you know, this car does drive like a sports car, which is wonderful.
They love it when I turn up the bass.